We're live.
Hello, everybody. We are so glad you guys are tuning in today. We know every one of you are busy. Monday afternoon, we probably have lots of other things we need to be doing. So we're really thrilled to have you here today. My name is Theresa Reed. I'm known as the Tarot Lady, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Ethony. Ethony, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I know a lot of you from the internet. And I would just describe myself as a tarot goddess. I'm a reader, creator, and a coach, business coach. So that's me.
And our webinar today, it's a free webinar. We are calling this Behind the Scenes with Theresa and Ethony, or Ethony and Theresa. And we're going to be talking about, what it takes to run a tarot business. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things that maybe you have questions about, maybe you're not sure about. And there's a lot of myths out there. There's, a lot of things that people will maybe perhaps give you, stories or tips that really don't make sense for the type of business that we're in. So what we're talking about in a nutshell is about the work that we do, how it really works, things that you need to know. And we're going to talk also about an imperfect business or a good enough business. So what we are looking to do is really bust those myths and, make sure that you guys are approaching this work from a grounded and practical perspective and not getting sucked in by all the flash and glam that is out there from various business sites. Does that make sense, Ethony?
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm sure both of you, and this was born really from, we chat quite often. Teresa's one of my mentors and has been for years, and we chat quite often about business and what's going on. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who sees all of these ads on Facebook, for like, click here to get your roadmap to a 6-figure business. And, and I just get flooded with them on my Facebook feed, and they really piss me off.
Yes.
So I was like, let's actually have and then Teresa was like, let's have a space where we can actually talk about what it actually takes to have a successful business, and how a lot of times those people are just sharks in the water, and they're selling you something that is, or they're portraying something that may not be true. And it's really, is it really for our niche anyway? Like, is it really for our world with this like 6-figure conglomerate kind of thing? So,
and we also want to talk too about, I've worked with lots of coaches over the years, and oftentimes they give advice, and some of the advice is not appropriate for a tarot business. And so I'm hoping too that we steer people on the right path so that they're running businesses that make sense, and running businesses that work for you, that don't work to some business model that doesn't make sense for the type of work that we're doing. Oftentimes when I've worked with different business coaches, there's been a few that have been really good, but there's been some that don't understand this work. And they have these ideas that maybe make sense for a different type of work or a different type of industry, but not for the type of work that we do. So I think what we should do is we should start out, Ethony, by telling everybody what is like a typical day like for you, and I'll tell what a typical day is like for me, so they get an idea of what it is that we're doing to run our businesses, because I don't want them to get the illusion that we're sitting around on beaches drinking Mai Tais.
I wish, especially today. Did you want me to go first, or did you want to?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start?
So a bunch of you who came on earlier saw what my day looks like. So I have a little boy, he's 2.5, and he's the light of my life. And my typical morning is taking care of my son, getting us both ready. I have no family here. I have my sister here, but she also works for herself. So I don't have a lot of time when it comes to free time in my house, because he's still too young to go to school. So after we get ready, I have 2 days a week where I have a childcare arrangement, and he goes there, and that's when I do the bulk of my recording. So my video recordings for my blog, my YouTube videos, and my video readings, which I launched this year actually, and have have now become more popular than my email readings because people want to see your face. And I get it. Once you start channeling, it's so much easier to talk than it is to write. So I have usually, and then my coaching clients. So I usually have 2 full days of that. I also work at night. I do all my admin at night when my son is asleep or he's with his father. And I pack my orders for my decks and things like that at night. I do my bookkeeping at night, and then I write as well. So on the days that I'm not recording, a lot of it is content creation, email readings, going through my emails and packing my orders. But so yeah, I either have a video day, a recording day, or I just have like a computer day. So that's usually me. And I usually work like 10 to 12 hour days. Yeah, usually. And I'm usually like writing, because if the writing bug hits me, I get up and I just start writing. So that's a typical day for me.
Right on. And I don't have a small child. So, you know, those days of having a 2-year-old are far, far behind me. I have grown adult children. I'm waiting for grandkids, but these 2 are not coming along fast enough for me. So I'm going to probably be waiting a little bit longer. So for me, I do not have children to take care of. So I have a lot more time of my own, which does give me a little bit of a benefit. I think running a business when you are a parent of a young child is very challenging. But, you know, my days are also very challenging. I work usually about a 10-hour day, and I work 6 days a week. So that's 60 hours a week that I'm clocking in. And on my day off, which is Sunday, sometimes I'm doing some writing that day, because that is the one day where I can really wrap my head around some writing. So what is a typical day for me? Well, first of all, I get up real early. And that way I have quiet time in my household without husband or cats bugging me. And I use that time to post cards of the day and check in with social media and check in with my emails. And I'll often get my writing done in the morning. And from there, you know, I have my time to take care of my own needs and eat breakfast and feed the cats and run a few errands. But from 1 o'clock then, from 7 o'clock, I'm either doing email readings, tarot casts, entrepreneur casts, or client work where I'm, you know, meeting over the phone with them, or I'm doing mentoring work, you know, so it's a combination of things. If I have time in between appointments, you better believe I'm probably doing some writing and admin work as well. So again, I start at 6 o'clock in the morning with maybe about an hour and a half out of the day where I'm running errands and doing other things. But then I'm working till 7 o'clock at night. Now on a Tuesday night, I also run a little Twitter chat called Tarot Wrap. So that's an extra hour on my day.
Which I always miss because of the time change, the time difference.
I know, it's hard. But that's something I've been doing for a few months now, too. So, you know, I've got that going on, and I'm working on a new book proposal that I'm putting together. So I've got a lot going on. So again, there are no 4-hour days, I wish. But, you know, really, frankly, I'd be bored out of my gourd. I come from a family of workaholics. We are people who love to work, love our work. And every single one of us, we've been blessed, have found work that we've loved. You know, my younger brother is not a tarot person. He works in an auto body shop. He loves his work. He will put in a 10-hour day too.
Yeah.
You know, it's our thing. So that's a typical day for me. It's long.
It does certainly help if you love your job, to like when you're clocking in those long hours, or when you're up at 5 in the morning, or you're still writing until 12 o'clock at night. Yeah, it certainly helps for sure.
Right on.
So does anyone have any questions around like like schedules and your day, or working around having a 9 to 5, or because I had to do that for a long time while I transitioned? Does anyone have any questions about that? Because that can be something that I get from my coaching clients that are just like, oh, I don't have any time. And, you know, I'm a bit sassy, so I'm going to say it a bit sassy. Is like, if I can make time with a 2.5-year-old, you can make time. But if you have any questions, please do use the chat box and let us know.
And I'm going to say, too, when I first began my business, I've been in business now for over 25 years. My kids were small then, and I was a single parent, and it was back and forth with the the ex-husband, with childcare duties and all of that. So I was taking care of my business and taking care of the kids. And I think it was about 12 years ago, I got a bee in my bonnet to start another business. So I also run a small yoga studio, which I forgot to add that part in there. And
You
then,
run a small yoga studio too?
yes, I do.
How did I not know that about you?
It's a secret yoga studio. It's the yoga studio for misfit yogis. We only allow 4 students at a time. It's very, very secret. It's very exclusive. And I work with people who are injured or, who have special needs and don't feel comfortable in a regular studio. So it's that. And also there was a couple of years ago where I took care of my father, who was 90 something years old. So I had a 4-year period where I was doing elder care. So I did forget to add, there are times where I've also had an incredibly crazy schedule. And we have some questions now coming in. But I wanted to also add that, there was a little bit of that side hustle for a while. So Lisa writes, I sometimes feel like I have too much time on my hands and get distracted a little too much.
You need a schedule.
Yeah.
You need a plan and a schedule.
Yeah. Everything, here's the thing, if you tend to be distracted, which by the way, I can relate to that, Lisa. I like to say I have very, very Gemini brain. It's all over the place. For me, having a schedule, everything gets written down on my schedule. My calendar is like blocked out. My marketing calendar is blocked out. Everything's blocked out because when it's on my calendar, it gets done. And so if you tend to be distracted, you need to sit down and you need to plot out your days, schedule them in, and then you have to really discipline yourself to stick with that calendar.
Can I add something on that as well?
Yeah.
I have a Gemini. I'm a Gemini mind too, but I also have a Virgo rising. So Lisa, I feel like I can really, really speak to you on this one. With my schedule, I need a little bit of both. I need the deadlines because otherwise I do get distracted and I will just go do something else. But I also need room to breathe. So for me, my schedule it can be as rigid or as flexible as you need. But my schedule is, for example, every Tuesday I blog. Every Tuesday, no exceptions, I have a blog post and I have a video. What that is changes and chops and changes around the place, but I have a master list in my documents, which I use to manage everything. That's one thing. And then Oracle Wednesday is another thing that's set in stone. So even if you just start with one thing that you commit to yourself and you commit to other people of showing up and sharing or doing, whether it's like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to go on Facebook Live and I'm going to do free readings. At least then you are committing, and then it makes it a little easier to do the next step and the next step and the next step.
I think that's great advice. I'm, on the other hand, very rigid with my schedule.
Right.
Because, for me, and I have to say, I really had to get super rigid when I was taking care of my dad. That made it so I had to really make sure everything was based around making sure this 90-year-old man was going to have everything that he needed. So that was the time I probably got the most rigid with my schedule.
Right.
And you know what ended up happening, though? I liked it. I said, this really works. Now, Dad has been gone for 6 years. So that was 10 years ago that I got really rigid with my schedule. And occasionally I will move things around a little bit, but it's still a very, very strict schedule, because it means when I have a strict schedule, stuff gets done. Let me explain also for when I was writing my book. So here I am running my businesses, blah, 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 and now I got to write a book. And I have X amount of months to do it. So I made sure that I scheduled in an hour or two a day on very specific days, which meant I got up an hour earlier those days just to get it done. Because I know what would happen if I didn't have it scheduled in. I would be, let me go shopping on Amazon, or, let me go and do something with this cat. So for me, I have to have a rigid schedule or nothing gets done.
Yeah. For Obsidian, who said you have a very unpredictable, Tammy, we will get to you. I just saw this one, which kind of relates to what we were talking about, being unpredictable. If you can, I had all of, I like to be 3 months ahead of the game. I'm not at the moment because I'm really busy, but usually I like to have 3 months of blog posts and videos done in the can. So They are ready to go, and I don't have to worry about it. So I can go into my WordPress and schedule everything, and all I need to do is that's it, is click public on my YouTube videos. And if you do that, even if your schedule gets turned around, or like I've traveled a lot this year, I don't have to worry about it because I already have all of that content ready to go. So if you find that you have a downtime, my downtime is Christmas, I'm going to be getting 6 months of blog posts ready. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I would totally recommend, if you're like me and you have a really unpredictable schedule because of work or kids or whatever, do that. That's like, that'll save you so much.
It really will. That's great advice. Actually, Melissa Casera, who you can find her at CaseraCommunications.com. She's a PR agent, and she's brilliant, really brilliant gal. She recommends batching, which is exactly what you're doing. Now, I don't batch like that because first of all, I blog almost every day. So I'm a little bit insane. I don't recommend that. But again, here's the Gemini thing. I feel like I just got to get all these ideas out there.
Right.
And so I will batch, for the week. Or if I'm going out of town, I will spend a whole day then batching things that are going to cover me. So when I'm out of town, I can just boom, hit push and publish, and I don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do that.
Alrighty, so let's have a look at what Tammy asked. So Tammy, how do you avoid overcommitting with regard to when you promise to deliver readings and the number of clients who send payments for readings during a certain period of time? So Tammy, are you talking about being overbooked? Which is a great problem to have.
Yes, it's a wonderful problem.
Am I reading that correctly, honey? I'll give her a second. I know it takes a minute.
Well, let me just jump in then until we hear from her.
Sure.
Yep, she says yes.
Okay. So I would say what I do when I send out readings to people, I say that their reading will be collected from me. Well, they will get their reading from me within a certain time frame. So if it's busy, it can be up to 10 to 14 working days. Normally it's 7, but I know Theresa has a very quick turnaround. But again, it depends on the way that you work, because again, I've got commitments that I can't move with my son. So I would make sure that they just know right at the beginning what to expect from you. And I have also found that sometimes when life kind of throws you a curveball or you have more than expected, as long as you're communicating to your clients where you're at, and you don't just do a disappearing act, they can tend to be extremely understandable because they're also human as well.
Absolutely. And you made a really important point. You have to let the clients know exactly what to expect from you. Mm-hmm. If you say, I'm going to have a turnaround in 48 hours, but then you biff it, that's not a good thing. Instead, it's better to give yourself more time than expected. I would say if you want to really make your clients happy, tell them I will get your reading in X amount of days, let's say 5 days, but then deliver in 3 days. Because I always say I'm going to deliver in 48 hours, but then I deliver usually in 24 hours. That way people are always surprised, they're pleased.
You're making me look bad.
Well, remember, I don't have a 2-year-old, but also my way of avoiding overwhelm, which by the way, email readings can be very overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And it started getting to the point where I was stuck to my computer for 4 hours a day doing email readings, that I had such an overload. So what I started doing was what we call turning off the spigot. And so I only take in X amount a day, and I turn off the button so people can't purchase. And that has created great sanity for me. Mm-hmm. I also shut it off on the weekend, so now I get a weekend. I don't do email readings on the weekend. I will take payments from Monday through Friday and only X amount a day. And then once I get my capacity, it's done. Yeah. So that really makes sure then that I am going to deliver. And also it's important for me to deliver a reading that's grounded. I don't want to deliver something from a place of burnout. Mm-hmm. So
it's not a great place to create from, is it?
No, not at all. One time back in the day when I had a button that people could purchase 10 at a time. I had to. That was the dumbest thing ever. I'm giving you guys the story so you know it can get you in trouble. And of course, then all of a sudden I would have like 3 or 4 people buying 10, and I would end up with 30 or 40 email readings having to get done in a 48-hour period. I learned very quickly to take that off.
Wow.
So one thing you guys want to think about too, when you really do get going, is you do need to make sure that you are protecting your time and your boundaries so you can
Oh yeah.
go up 100% for your clients. That's super important. Burnt out reader's not a good reader.
No, it's not. I love the question that Roseanne has asked. Any quick tips for beginner readers? So, Roseanne, I'm not sure if we saw your introduction. Are you right at the beginning? Are you comfortable with your knowledge of the tarot, or are you reading for people professionally? As in, are you taking money for readings? You're comfortable, yes?
How long have you been reading, Roseanne?
We're grilling you. What are you doing?
Well, I do like to know, because
I'm just joking.
one of the things that I like to say, if you're going to start charging for your work, you do need to be very comfortable reading for people. You should have some experience underneath your belt. By experience, I mean you should have a few years under your belt. Now, I know that's probably something people don't want to hear, but hear me out, guys. If you've only been reading tarot for 3 months and you want to dive into the tarot business, I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to learn some pretty intense lessons. If you take a couple of years where you practice with as many people in as many different situations as possible, you're going to have a much easier time at it, because you may not be prepared. If you haven't had time reading for a number of people, you may not be prepared for certain situations that may show up at your tarot door. For example, how are you going to deal when you have a client that bursts into tears while you're doing a reading? How are you going to deal when you have somebody coming in for a reading, but they're actually looking to get a date with you? Yes, I've had that happen.
I have too.
Yes, back when I was young and cute. It doesn't happen anymore. But how are you going to deal if you're doing a reading and somebody tells you you're full of crap? That you have to really be prepared for all of these. So I really would say it's important to make sure that you get some time under your belt, so that you're coming into it also ready to deal with various situations that are, pretty common in our work.
So Roseanne has come back saying she does feel like she's experienced all that kind of stuff. So I've got some things that I would like to share too, and then we can go back over to Theresa. So when I started, I threw myself into reading for other people. I got told by my mentor, who is this hot as F, 6-foot Gemini woman with beautiful blonde hair, drinks coffee and says fuck a lot, and I love her to death. She's absolutely no bullshit, and I learned from her. I took a course. I actually took all of her courses, and she said, you really have a gift for this. You should be doing this professionally. And I probably would have got there on my own anyway, but she said that to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. So I started doing it. I started at fairs. I thought they were such a good initiation. I went to fairs. I'm a very social person. I'm very good at I'm an extrovert, so I had no problem with doing that. I went for the first time when I wanted to do that, I actually went to a few fairs as a customer, and I had a reading from a couple of people just so I knew like what their style was. I ordered a couple of online readings too. I wanted to see what I liked and what I didn't, what worked in the communication world and what didn't. What kind of readings I wanted to give, because some people I was just like, whoa, that is whack. I can't believe you just said that to me. And then I did a lot of free readings to my friends and family. And then I signed up for one, and I just said, okay, I'm going to do 2 days at this fair. I'm going to set up a table. And I threw myself in. I'm glad I did. I could handle it. I was in HR in the corporate world, so I knew how to handle a lot of the sensitive stuff. And I had been reading for over a year at that point anyway, so I felt like I was like, okay, I can handle that. I was exhausted by the end of the weekend, but I really enjoyed it. So I did fairs. I kind of got my feet on the ground, really grounded with people doing face-to-face before I started doing online, because online is a completely different beast. And yeah, so I really did get the local thing going. I read through shops. I still do that. So that's what I did. I did fairs and I did readings for people. Take your cards to a cafe, have them laying out on the table. People will come up and ask you, like, start to get that exchange of like energy around that. And then you'll be like, okay, I know when I'm ready to kind of go to the next step. I hope that kind of made sense. And we can talk about getting a marketing plan started for sure, because we've got loads of time. But yeah, cafes are great, fairs are great, shops are great. Just like get that personal, because even though you're doing it over readings or over email or face-to-face, it's still a person you're connecting to. So get used to that really. Yeah, or online services too, but I avoided those.
Yeah, I'm not down with those.
No, I'm not. I get that they can be really good for money, and they are a good experience, but I didn't do them because, yeah, burnt out. Yes, usually, sorry, Roseanne, yes, it is. It's usually okay for the cafe because as long as you've purchased a coffee or something, you're a customer there. You just have your tarot cards. You don't need to have a sign. You just put your tarot cards out and just be working on your blog post or be working on your website or be doing something else, and you'll find that people come over to you. So it's like a little fish hook.
Yes, and I also would tell you that you might want to talk with the owner of the cafe and say, hey, I'm going to come in here. I want to do some readings, and sit with a croissant and some coffee. Is that okay if I do that? You can do that. Like Ethony, I started out also reading in public places. Although I ended up, I first began reading publicly in a bar, which I don't really totally recommend. You want to learn how to be hardcore with your tarot readings, start reading in a bar. It was pretty insane. Yes, I mean, you're reading for drunk people. You're reading for people who are coming in and they're, fueled up and liquored up. But it really got me to be a fast, efficient reader, because I had to sling drinks while making sure I'm taking care of the clients. And I had all kinds of crazy situations as well. So it was really good to get me to be grounded and present. I did a lot of private parties in the beginning. I didn't do fairs. I did one fair and I didn't like it. It wasn't my thing. Unlike Ethony, I am an introvert. So for me, I'm completely opposite. If you put me in a party, I can deal, but it's really not who I am. I'm more of a one-on-one person. So, but anyhow, I did a lot of public events in the beginning. And then I started getting away from that and moved towards seeing people in my office more. And then a couple of years ago, I finally stopped doing parties, because parties for me were they were depressing. They were hard work. I shouldn't say they were hard work. They were just, for my nature, it didn't really fit. I often felt like I couldn't, manage who I was going to serve. And so for me, I had a couple experiences that was like, this isn't for me. I am better one-on-one, face-to-face. So I then transferred to only doing private sessions. And I have not done private parties for years now. I have not done fairs except that one fair. I read in metaphysical shops for a while too, but metaphysical shops weren't really my thing either, because now I'm going to sound like a control freak.
Yeah, because you are.
Yeah. But I couldn't control who I was dealing with. And so sometimes I would get people that it's like, this person is not someone I should be reading.
Yeah.
And that's very important for me.
That's another thing with those online services and fairs and bars and all that sort of stuff, is that you don't, I'm going to try not to sound like an asshole when I say this, but those sorts of spaces attract a certain type of people. So be very aware that those, I don't know if other people who've worked in these services, these industries can chime in too, but I've found that the people that I work with through my website and the people that I work through who've met me through social media, who've watched a few of my videos, who've gone to my website, kind of know who I am a little bit, are so much better to work with than the people that I've worked with on a phone or an affair or at a shop, because a lot of the time they want you to be like the crystal ball, tell me when this is going to happen, what's my ex-boyfriend doing, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, or they are a complete mess and they really ought to go see a psychologist and not a tarot reader, or they're dependent. I found that there are people that I can absolutely know for sure if I show up, they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh my, and then because you're working for someone else, like an online thing or a shop, you can't say no.
No, you're stuck.
So it may seem like, awesome, I'll get on one of these online things and I'll make money per hour. You will, but you are going to work for that money.
You bet you're going to work for that money. And if you are going to do fairs, Jenna Matlin wrote a fantastic
Yes.
book called Have Tarot Will Travel. I highly recommend it. It's going to give you advice on how to survive these fairs and these events and stuff. It's a book I wish I would have had back then. Like I said, I did one fair, and Tammy asked a question, did you have a problem with other readers being competitive and catty? So, let me tell you my experience. When I did that one fair, I did have that experience, and it turned me off. I was doing a lot of readings that day, and there was another reader there, and she said, wow, why'd you get more readings than me? And just really, really snotty. And I'm like, I don't know. How do you answer that? And so it was really weird. And I thought, again, my introvert nature, I'm like, I'm not a competitive girl. I'm not a jealous girl. This isn't my type of bag.
Right.
So it didn't work for me. But I think if you are the type of person that can brush that off and maybe focus on building community, you might be able to turn that negative energy around.
Competitiveness does not go away, though. It might even be worse online.
It is.
So you really have to figure out a way to. I have had, I feel like I've had every single type of thing. I've had the hate mail. I've had the, I've had the, can I have some of your time because you've been so successful, I want to learn from you. I'm like, book me, bitch. I've had everything. I've had outright people work with me and then go back on their word and refuse to publish the work that we've done because they see that they feel like I'm getting more attention. I've had everything. And you know what? RuPaul is like one of my guiding spiritual lights in life. And I mean that sincerely. And I love that line from Sister That Walk where she says, unless they're paying your bills, pay those bitches no mind, because that's the truth. But I have literally had the gamut of shit thrown at me. So yeah, you're going to get that, by the way, the more you put yourself out there.
We should talk for a minute about that. Since we're talking about beginning readings, it's great to start in person with these fairs, these coffee shops, all of that. But going online in this day and age is really important. Mm-hmm. Everybody should have a website. And the reason why is because nobody opens the yellow pages anymore to find readers. They Google you. So having a website is really super important. But when
Does everyone have a website, by the way? Can we all chime in? Do we all have one?
Yeah.
Is it ugly?
Roseanne says no.
Y'all need a website.
Oh my God, did you see what Tammy wrote about the fair? That there was somebody there that she exchanged readings with, and the person who told her about a fair she did where another reader walked up to her and told her she sucked and took her cards away from her and walked off. Oh my God.
Did you throw something at that person?
I would have. Okay, so we do have some people who have their sites.
Not yet.
And yes, Mark, I've seen your site. Your site is fantastic.
I'm checking it out now.
That's great. So having a website now is really super important, guys. But when you are putting yourself online and out there, like Ethony says, you're going to be dealing with a lot of new issues. First of all, the idea of being visible, if you're an introvert like me, it's a little scary. But also then you're going to be dealing sometimes with some people who aren't very nice. And I think that's really hard when you're a little shy or whatnot, but we have to put ourselves out there, period. Mm-hmm. Ethony, when you said about these experiences, do you find that most of your negative experiences online have come from fellow peers or from clients?
Peers.
Yeah.
I know, isn't that sad to say? Isn't that so sad to say? Because I'm really one of those people where I'm like, we all succeed, then we all succeed. Like there is enough to go around. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and we will find the right clients for us. So I really believe that, but I think there are people out there who are either stuck in poverty mindset or stuck in there's a lack mindset there that honestly believe that you're hoarding all of the clients and that they won't be able to get any. But it's mostly, I couldn't even recall the last time I had shitty feedback or a negative experience with a client.
Right. I rarely get that, especially because I screen so carefully. Most of my online negative experiences has also been from peers, which is really shocking, especially because, I'm one of these people that's always trying to like rally the troops and help out, like doing a webinar like this. I'm not a believer in competition. I'm not an envious girl. So I always found that was really strange. To get a negative email from a peer that you don't even know, or I've had people steal my work, which is really disturbing. But yeah.
Oh, I've had people steal my work too. That's a good one. That's fun. But yeah, I always say to those people, and I say to my clients who I coach and who are building their businesses, it's always about them. It's never about you. It's never about anything that you've done. You've triggered something in them and they have decided to lash out. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum when you get that, but you learn very quickly who you want to work with. And yeah, shadow shit for sure. You work very, very quickly out who you want to work with. And sometimes, unfortunately, these things, it's like any business. You can't go to work for any job and get along with everyone. And you are going to have people in your workplace that don't like you, but these are teachers, right? If we're doing the deep work, if we're doing the work as a tarot reader, because I read from a psychic, like an intuitive standpoint, I know the cards back to front and sideways. And I also come from, a place where I like to do a lot of personal work. So I kind of ram it all in together. If we're doing the work, then we should be able to identify that, right? When it's coming from a crappy place from somebody else.
So what would be your advice, Ethony, on how to deal with online haters?
Ignore.
Very,
Ignore
very good
that
advice.
shit. Soar above it like a fantastic eagle. I have done both, and I've written about it, I've talked about it, and I've ignored it. So the issue with writing a blog post, like you can write a blog post and have it as a general one. I do, like I write blog posts for businesses and just generally, and I could write one about like what to do when you get hate online, but you're just throwing fuel on the fire. I've responded to things before, and I've showed a few things online where I have responded, and it just becomes this like back and forth, really stupid. They're never going to understand you. They're not like, why are you, it's like engaging with someone like Donald Trump. Like, why do it? Like, why would you go on a Twitter war with someone who just is like getting their jollies from you responding back to them? And I just honestly, I just hit delete. I hit delete, I ignore, love and light. You know what? You go right ahead and be your bad self. You're not stopping me from being successful and loving who I am and really enjoying my life. So I'm sorry you feel like shit. But if you're a sensitive person, just protect yourself energetically and look after your energetic hygiene. Have your boundaries in place so that when someone comes up, they're hitting your boundaries, not you. Like, you are not your business. You are not you need to like separate that out.
Right on. I always like to do bless them and send them on their way.
Exactly.
I always send a blessing and let them go, because it's just not worth your time or energy. And oftentimes you may be doing the greatest work and getting, 10 wonderful emails from people telling you how much they love you. And then it's that one email, that one that says something negative, that's the one you're going to carry around. You also have to do work on detaching from that and letting that go, because you don't want to carry that forward. You don't want to let that stuff seep into your consciousness. So let's talk about boundaries with clients. I think that's really important. Whether you're seeing clients online, emails, or in person, boundaries in this business, I think, is a really I like to say I don't have good boundaries, which makes me very good at my work, but it also makes me get in a lot of trouble. So learning how to set boundaries, I think, is one thing that many of us have to learn to do. So I've had to learn it the hard way. And one of the things that I like to recommend that people do is really get clear on what are the things that you do not want to put up with. And you need to get clear on that right away at the beginning of your business. The sooner you are clear on what it is you're not going to put up with, the sooner then you can create policies, and you can put those policies in a place where people see them on your website. And it's going to then really turn off the type of people that you don't want to work with. So let me give you some examples of policies that are important to me. So back in the day, I used to get a lot of no-show clients. And that infuriated me because it was a waste of my time. To have somebody suddenly not show, that means I'm sitting there, I'm not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes they would call like a day or two later, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, or, oh, couldn't get a babysitter. And, that's just not good enough. You're going to not do this to me. So I created a policy that if you pull a no-show, you don't work with me again ever. That pretty much nipped that problem in the bud. So now people know that, and it's right on my site, if they pull a no-show, it's not going to wash, your payment is forfeited, and we're not working together again because my time is valuable. Another policy that I had to instate was for email readings, because I would do an email reading and then there would be certain people that would come back and they would be wanting to get their money's worth. So they'd have all these clarifying questions and they were very confused. And I had to set down the rule that nope, no clarifying questions, no follow-up. This is your reading. This is what you paid for. We're done. And that helped to eliminate those clients too. They went somewhere else. So the key is you've got to really, really, really be clear on what it is that you will and won't work with. And then you've got to make sure that it's up there so people know. Like I won't read for people who are asking about gambling because I don't believe in gambling. I won't read for you if you're drunk. If you're obsessive, we're not going to work well together. It's all up on my website. What about you, Ethony? What is your advice about boundaries?
One of my favorite things to talk about, boundaries. I did that. I did answer the 10 things every 10 questions every tarot reader should answer. And that was one of the things that we talked about was where do you draw the line? So I feel very lucky that I think my vibe online attracts the type of person that's going to work with me well. But I will not read about health problems, like health issues, like as in just like the gamut of health issues. I'm not a fucking doctor. I do not even want to go there. It's different if it's I won't, like serious health issues. No, thank you. I won't go there. I've never had anyone ask me for the lotto numbers. I would just laugh in their face and refund their money. Well, not like in a mean way. I just like, really, if I knew the lotto numbers, would I be here? I would be in a mansion somewhere, reading books with Coco, having, sexy cabana boys at the pool. Like I would not be, sitting here with you. I would be doing tarot, but like really, I would be doing that for fun. It's not true. I'll probably be doing tarot till I die, but I won't be doing anything along those lines, and anything to do with the stalkery type of questions, like what is my ex doing, and all that sort of stuff. But I'm very clear when you book a reading with me. This is what I need back from you. And this is when you're going to get it. And I clearly state, like, if you've booked a 1-question reading, I need your 1 question. If you've booked another reading, these are as many questions as you can ask me, and that's it, done. And I also, when you're doing Skype sessions, the thing you need to do, you need to act like like you're in a meeting. 10 minutes before, you be like, okay, we're going to be wrapping up in 10 minutes. Is there anything else you want to get that you want to ask in our last few moments together? So it's controlling the conversation. And if you're controlling the conversation, then you're the one who's on the clarifying ones are really funny.
Yeah. And, the clarifying ones, they always tended to be the same thing. It was always the clients who were asking, will he come back?
Yeah.
They always wanted clarifying stuff. They wanted details, the exact date, all of that. So that just didn't wash. It just became, again, obsessive and a lot of time suck. So that was my big thing. So here's the thing that I want to talk about now also. Why is it that some tarot businesses make it and some fail?
Oh, that's so juicy.
I think it's a very juicy question because, I a lot of times will do some mentoring, and I have met some clients that are, mentoring students that have been incredibly talented readers, but their businesses just aren't making any money. It's not working. What are your thoughts about that? Why do some businesses make it and some fail?
Your website sucks. Your website sucks. No, seriously. If you don't have a space that is visually appealing. I'm really sorry to say this. I know spiritual people can throw back a whole bunch of excuses of like, yeah, but it's like, okay, brain wiring and brain psychology works the same. I don't care if you pray to Buddha or Jesus or whatever. We all work the same. So you need to have a clear space for people. If they can come to your website and find out who you are and how to work with you, and it's extremely clear and outlined for them, then you're going to have a much better success of people booking with you. Another thing is, so your website is extremely important. The other thing is as well is that you really need to give back. Like, I feel like people who are all one-sided, so that's one thing. You need to give back. You need to be giving free content or engaging in a conversation with people, building community, connecting, educating, collaborating, something that's not just like sell, come and book a client, come and book a reading with me. And my third thing is you need a clear vision. Now, I've seen this happen all the freaking time with my clients. I'm like, all right, you've got this tarot business. And they're like, yes, but I want to do coaching, and I want to do an oracle deck, and I want to like have these amazing lifestyle products, and I want to do this. I'm like, okay, that's great. But you need to start the foundation of your business, have 2 solid years in that business, and then start branching out. If you try to do everything that you want to do right at the beginning, unless you have a shit ton of money, you're going to dilute your clients. You're going to confuse your clients. They're not going to feel like you're going to be there for them when they're reading. I see it all the time. So consistency, a clear vision for 2 years. You need to collaborate, educate, give back, and your website needs to not be shit. That's my 3.
I totally agree. The website needs to be clear and clean. And what I mean by clear and clean, it doesn't have to be the most beautiful site in the world, but it should be easy to use. It should be clear that you're a tarot reader, so people come to your site and they know what the heck you're selling. You know, sometimes people have me do a website audit and I go to their sites, I don't know what they're selling. Tarot reader, but I don't know that. I can't tell. Or they don't put their picture up there. I don't know if there's a real human behind it, or the buttons are not visible, so I can't purchase. They make it hard. And if your site is really hard to manage, or if it's hard for people to understand, that right away is going to really limit your success. Okay. The other thing I see too that happens is a lack of discipline. And I know nobody likes hearing that, but if you are only like blogging once every blue moon, or you're sending out a newsletter once every 6 months, or maybe you say you're going to deliver some work and you deliver it consistently late, you know, you're going to fail. Period. If you are going to be in business, you have to really make sure that you are showing up and running it like a business. So discipline is the thing that I see really, or lack of discipline is a thing that I think really hurts a lot of businesses. And I've worked with some people too who you give them a bunch of stuff. It's like, here, do this. This will get your business going. And 6 months later, they haven't implemented anything. You know, if you don't discipline, if you don't implement, if you don't stop messing around and really start going in and running your business properly, you're going to be limiting your success. So you have to have some discipline. You have to have a site that's easy to use. You have to be willing to do the work too. You know, you have to be consistent. Lack of consistency is a huge problem.
Massive. It's probably like the one thing that undoes a lot of people, especially like spiritually minded people. And I'm a spiritual person, but I'm also like, again, I came from the corporate world, so it was great training, right? I was like, you have to freaking show up or you don't get paid. Like, you need to go to work every day. And I also say on that, besides doing the work, which is work every day, is another thing I say to my clients right off the bat is you need to give yourself 2 years. So whether that's 2 years of like working your 9-to-5 job and blogging in the evenings and doing readings outside of your normal job. And I used to take my vacation and work. I know that's crazy, but that's what I did.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. So give yourself 2 years. And then if you can commit, if you can give yourself the gift of 2 years of working on your business, that's when you start to see traction. But if you're looking for like the quick fix thing, honestly, go do something else, because you won't you won't become like a overnight success. It just doesn't happen. So if you can give yourself 2 years, you can commit 2 years to yourself, because that's really what it is, and your work, then yeah, I think that's, and consistently, yeah.
And 2 years is going to give you enough time also to really feel out if you want to do this full-time, part-time.
Totally.
If it works for you, you might find in 2 years that, wow, this really stinks, I don't want to do it. Or you might find in 2 years that I'm more
I hate everybody.
Yes. Or you might find that you're more passionate than ever. And it's like, it becomes like, oh my God, this is all I want to do. So 2 years is a really, really good time. It's, in a way, you're kind of like dating your business then to see if you want to make a commitment to it. I want to talk about the myth of the easy 6-figure incomes and 4-hour work weeks, because I do know that you see this a lot, especially in coaching business, not so much in the tarot business, but it filters in our business too, where people talk about, what is that guy's name? Tim Ferriss. He wrote the book, The
4-Hour Work Week.
Yes, that book. I understand what he says and I respect it to some degree, but it doesn't really apply to our business.
He also outsources everything. So sure, if you want to do a 4-hour work week and then get some poor person from a developing country who you're paying peanuts to do everything for you, which is exactly what he does.
I know.
Then sure, go ahead. Just before we get on to that, can we answer Tammy's question? Because it was...
Oh, I didn't see the question. What is it?
So what about predictive readings? Get a job, find a job, get the job, will he, she come back? Look, I will answer that. But I will also say to you, this is the most likely outcome. This is what is saying at this point in time. I believe tarot is a snapshot of what is the most likely outcome. It can change because we all have free will. I'm not really a destiny is going to, I think some big things are destined, but it's a very personal thing and we have free choice. So destiny could give us, hand us to something, for example, pregnancy. You get pregnant, you still have a choice. Destiny is saying, here we go, we're going to give you this gift of motherhood, but you still have a choice. You can not choose to be pregnant. You can give the child away. You can raise the child. That's the thing with those sorts of things. So I say it's a snapshot. Here you go. This is what the cards are saying, but it could change. And it's not for me to be a cop-out because I have a lot of very good feedback saying that I was right about things. It's just that I'm not going to get deep and meaningful about step 1, he's going to call you and send you roses. Step 2, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. You will get an email from him in November. I'll just say, look, it's likely he's going to come back and you just got to let it go.
Yes. And I also say, if you don't like to do predictive readings, then make sure you're clear on your site.
Yeah, totally.
Because a lot of people, when they come to a tarot reader, they're looking for predictive readings. So I'm going to be real frank about that. People, when they come to me, they're not coming because they want therapy. They want to know, am I going to get laid or paid?
Money or love. It's always about money or love.
Yeah. So if you don't want to do it, make sure you're clear. So Diane wrote, those predictive ones are almost 100% of what you will get online, and you don't have a choice. But to do those, to get good ratings so others call you, it's sucky reading, and that's why I burnt out on those. I have no regrets because I gained a lot, but I won't do them anymore. So see, for Diane, that didn't work. But for you, Tammy, it might work. It's going to depend on what and how you like to work.
Yeah, totally. So I hope that Jamie said he used to share an office with a talented tarot reader who had a beautiful website, lovely studio in a prime location in San Diego. And the missing element was she left her partner, the thriving and successful training and reading business and group clients, to her ex in the breakup. Oh no. And she didn't have the 5-year foundation of the old business. And for some reason, though she thought she could instantly go back to the level of success when she lost the foundation. So true. The foundation is everything. That's really sad.
But she can go and rebuild it from scratch. You just have to be scrappy and you have to just keep at it. I would tell her, look, you've got the talent. It's okay. Let's just start from scratch, rebuild. Because there are going to be times in business too where you may have a setback or a slow month, or maybe you do something really terrible, hopefully not. And you can always rebuild. You can always rebuild. So I would tell your friend not to give up. So I want to talk again about the 6-figure incomes. You can make 6 figures doing this business. You absolutely can. In fact, we were doing a workshop at the Reader Studio with Valentina Burton, and Valentina Burton is a very talented reader in Dallas. And she was laying out exactly how she makes 6 figures. And she was doing a lot of parties, and parties are very lucrative. And she also did a lot of one-on-one work as well. So her, and she had been in business for a long time. Valentina makes a lot of money, and she's got a very strong reputation. She's a fabulous reader. But, you know, again, it's a lot of work. It wasn't her just sitting around having money pour in while she's sitting on a beach. She was actually doing a tremendous amount of work and effort. So 6 figures, absolutely you can make it doing this work. But like RuPaul says, you better work.
You better work. The other thing about 6 figures is you have to figure out what works for you. So Theresa really did tap on this very before. I had a coaching client at the beginning of the year where she was like, I want to be a tarot, I want to do readings, I want to do astrology readings. I was like, all right, let's do this. And we got her to a place where she was doing 6 readings a day. And then she came back after 3 months and she's like, I can't do this full time. Right. So it's great that she knows now that she can't do this full time. But, there's someone at my door. I'm just going to mute this and let Theresa take.
All right. And so I'm looking at Rosanna. Roseanne wrote, I hope I don't have to work 10-hour days. Roseanne, you don't need to. Here's my advice for you guys. What you need to do, first of all, is figure out how much money you want to make. So let's say you want to make 6 figures, right? But if you only then want to work 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, you're going to have to then figure out from there, how much do I need to charge in order to work as little as possible and make that 6 figures? So you can absolutely engineer it. But if you're going to be charging, you know, a lot of money, then you have to also make sure that your clients are going to be really happy paying that for you. Maria also writes, so what if you have the website, social media, and YouTube, but no one is paying for a reading?
You've got the wrong people. Sorry, I'll just go back.
Yes.
So you were talking about...
I was talking about 10-hour days, and I was telling Roseanne that, you know, if you don't want to work 10-hour days, then you have to make sure you're charging plenty of money.
Right.
Especially if you want to make 6 figures, you know, if that's your goal. If you don't want to make 6 figures or anything, you know, you can do a smaller group and have it as a side hustle. I'm a huge believer in your number. And one of the things I like to do is pick my number at the beginning of the year. And then I figure out how much work do I need to do in order to make sure that I reach that number. So for you, Roseanne, that's what you need to start with. Start with your number, how much you want to make, and then figure out how many hours you want to work. And from there, you are going to be able to figure out how much you should charge. And then it's going to come down to smart marketing.
It's also, I do it monthly, by the way. I do it yearly, and then I break it down monthly, and then I break it down weekly, because it becomes a lot less scary when you're doing it that way. And what I was saying about the woman who decided that she couldn't expend that amount of energy, we just rejigged her business. Right. So it's like depending on what types of income you want to have. So it is custom to everybody, like with your situation as well, like how much time you have. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Where's the level of what you're doing? So, so it's a very interesting thing. You can always change your mind and re-look at your businesses. But for me, for example, a lot of you know who I am. I have products, I have an academy, I have coaching, and I have readings. I've diversified my income, but that didn't happen overnight.
Exactly.
And one of the most amazing pieces of advice I got was from that lady right there, Theresa, where she said, what did you say? Do not alienate your foundation business and make sure you're doing the readings every single day. Fucking amazing advice.
Well, you know, thank you. There are people, now I've had coaches tell me these 2 pieces of advice, which I totally ignored. They said, well, first of all, you need to get rid of your one-on-ones, and you should double your rates and only do group sessions like signature programs. Bullshit. That doesn't work for a tarot business. The other advice I got is that you should be focusing only on passive income. And that passive income is going to make you a 6-figure business, and you don't have to work, and blah, blah, blah. Passive income is not passive. You still have to go and market that stuff.
And you have to do the work beforehand, which is a ton of work. Yeah. So, yes, I know. I've done courses. I've got ebooks. I've got 3 decks. Like, it is a shit ton of work.
It is. It's a lot. So I want to go back to Maria's question about, so what if you have the website, social media, and YouTube, but no one is paying for a reading? First of all, Maria, how long have you been up online? That if you could answer that question, but I'm going to just jump ahead anyways. it may be that no one's paying for a reading. There could be a variety of reasons why. Is your site easy to use? Is it something that people can go to? They know you're a tarot reader. They can buy real easily from you. And when you talk about using social media, are you using it to connect with people? Are you forming relationships? Or are you just going on there and talking about your sales? You know, it's hard to say without knowing, okay, she's on 3 years and it's easy and you're not making any money and no one's paying for a reading. There might be a disconnect then in your web copy, or it might be that the way you're interacting with people on social media may also not be, you know, in a way where you're forming relationships with people.
I would say it's also, I mean, I don't know, I would love to have a look at your website, but it could also be that the invitation to work with you is not being pitched to the right client.
Yeah.
So I saw, I've seen this a quick case study. I know we could talk about this all day. We run out of time today, but a really good case study on Instagram, which is one of the biggest media platforms I have. I saw a very successful reader. She built her business up doing a lot of giveaways, lots of giveaways and lots of very cheap readings. Great way to get people. But the problem was when she wanted to level up and when she wanted to charge a bit more for her readings because she was exhausted, all of her clients refused to pay. She was attracting people who wanted things for free and cheap, even though she was an excellent reader. So then she kind of had to change gear, and then she saw everything go dip down and then slowly start to build back up again. So it will really depend on the type of I've got your website up, so but yeah, there's got to be a disconnect somewhere, because if you've been running it for that long, you should at least have a lovely little pool of clients that work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It also takes time too to develop that online presence. There's a lot of other readers out there, you know, putting their stuff out there. So how are you standing out? How are you putting yourself out there in a way that really makes people feel like they get to know you?
Okay, so I can give you, sorry, I've just gone on the website. I can give you a bit of a tip right off the bat. So your blog, I'm so sorry, I'm kind of calling you out here, but you're getting free advice, so hey. You have a blog post November 1st, August 20th, February 7th. There's no consistency. Like that's a worry for me. If I was coaching you, I'd be like, where is your week?
I got the site up too. Yeah. The other thing too, on the front page, the logo's beautiful, but underneath it, it says my passion and goal, and there's a picture. That doesn't tell people anything about you. You need to have more information about what you're about. You say, I help people that need that extra push in the right direction. How? So how, and what are the results that people get when they work with you? You know, you're saying this is what my website is here for. It's for me to reach out and truly make a difference. How are you making a difference? How are you making a difference with tarot? How are your tarot readings working? What are your tarot readings all about? That's what I would be wondering.
Yeah, so because your first white's what we call is like the first thing people see. Your logo is amazing. I love it. But when you scroll down, then it starts to get confusing. So anyway, we don't want to like bully you.
Also, I'm on your payment page, and okay, you know, you have I'm going to use your love and rune thing, where you have a thing where it says click. You should have something that says pay here, because when I look at it, people might scroll down and they don't see the payment button, that it's obvious that it's a payment button, and that's a problem too. If you're just, remember, people are in a hurry. And if they don't see that there's a way to buy, your buttons are not that obvious. It's not going to make people want to purchase. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, someone has started to share their screen. Yeah, okay, now we're back. So I just want to go back to some of the questions, because we are heading at the end of the...
Yeah, we're coming down to the end.
Okay, so I did ask how about working in the intuitive psychic aspect into your website work? I feel this can be a bit touchy, but I'm tuned in and comes through my readings. I haven't found I always put it like in the about page. I haven't found that it's a taboo-ish word. Maybe mine's not that clear, but I guess it doesn't stop me from. What do you think on that one, Theresa? Because I wouldn't have a problem with advertising the way I work.
I think it's just important to be you, period.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, if you are you and unapologetically you and you spill it all out on how you work, that's going to help people select whether or not you're the right reader for them. You know, people who spend any time in my world for a while, they know I love to eat. They know that I love hip hop music. They know that I am really passionate about business. They know, you know, that I'm going to be on Twitter every single day. They know that about me. They know I'm also an intuitive reader because I'm very, very much, this is how I work. I put it all out there. And I think when you put it all out there, you're giving people something, you're giving them, again, a chance to select whether or not you're right for them.
Yeah. Let's face it, people, no one is successful being someone else or not being themselves. We love our favorite movie stars, our favorite artists, our favorite musicians, our favorite YouTube people because they are who they are, right? So it's like me, I'm a swear bear and I'm a bit like, you know, I'll say what I think and all that kind of stuff. And that people come to me for that. They come to me to have them go like pull them up on their shit. You know, like if you want some soft, fluffy bunny, oh my gosh, everything's going to be okay. I mean, I'm not going to say and be mean, but I'm certainly going to tell you what, you know, what you pay for. I'm not going to like fluff it for you. So yeah, be unapologetically you. And the more you are, the more successful you're going to be.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that. I think if you are out there putting on maybe like a persona that you think is businesslike or that you think is what people are going to want, or if you try to be someone else, that's going to bleed through. That's not going to transmit you. And you always want to be transmitting you.
Authenticity.
Go ahead.
Authenticity, just authentic, just be who you are.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a very blunt person too, Jones. Super blunt. My kids used to hate it. Now they love it because they know they're always going to get the straight up truth. And there are clients who don't want that. They want someone to be very soft. They want therapy. They don't want someone to say, no, this guy's a jerk. Forget about him. They don't want to hear that. And so they know that I might say that and they don't come to me. They're going to go find someone who is going to be more like, oh, you can change him, or, you know, whatever they need to hear. You gotta like, just be you. Just be you.
So I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm so sorry. Pratibha. She asked, there are people around her that ask things and they want to know, they want your reading, but they don't want to pay. Oh, Lordy, this happened to me an awful lot. I even get that now with friends. I have a very good exchange in place though with my friend who's a lawyer. She gives me law advice and I give her readings, and I think that's good considering how much she charges an hour.
Yes.
So if you got that, that's fine. You know, I do the thing where when I started to find that people were taking advantage of my gift, I would be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot my deck, which is such a load of BS because there's always one in my bag. But hey, I've got my card. Like if you want to book a reading, then, you know, you can book through my website. I would love to hang out with you. Or just start saying no. Like I've said to a client who's she's going from doing freebies for testimonials to going to payment. And I said, what you need to do is you just need to do a blog post, send it out to your mailing list and do it across your social media. I'm relaunching my business. Yay. Here are now my services. And she's just put the line in the sand. And yes, you may lose followers for a hot second, but then they'll come back. Because people who want free readings will find someone.
Right. And you have to have boundaries. Again, it all comes back to boundaries. And by the way, I do charge for family and close friends, Diane, just so you know, I do. Because, you know, when if I have trouble with my car and I take it into my brother's shop, I'm going to pay the price that I pay. And I would never think to ask for a family discount or to ask my brother to do my work for free. You know, he's going to get paid. And so they're paying for my time. And that's really, my time is valuable. So one thing that, especially as I get older, I have less of. So
sorry, oh my gosh, hang on.
You're so popular. Mark makes a really great little suggestion here. He says, when they ask for a reading, I ask what their budget is. 1, 3, 10 cards or more. That's a really, really clever way of letting people know that they have to pay for your time, Mark. I love that.
Sorry, folks. Yeah, it depends. Like I'll throw a card for some friends or family. If I feel it's okay, or if I really like, if sometimes I love like slinging cards for people. Like sometimes it's just like, cool, it's just, I'm happy to do that. But I'm no shrinking violet. So if I'm really busy or I'm burnt out or I just don't feel like it, I just like, no.
Right. And also if people want a free reading, there are free reading sites. The American Tarot Association offers a free service. I send people there all the time when they're looking for freebies. So
in our last 10 minutes, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask us so we can finish off just focusing on how can you reach more clients who will actually pay? Yeah, have you got on your website, do you have that easy sort of to buy aspect on your website? Diane, was that your question as well? How do you find more clients? Okay, so who are you pitching to at the moment? That would be my thing. It's like, who are you actually pitching to, and do you actually know who your ideal client is?
And where are you pitching?
Yeah, because if you haven't got those three things very clear, then that's probably why you aren't finding people.
Jesse asked too, when you get down about your business, what do you do to remotivate yourself? Well, I will say that I never get down about my business because I'm hardcore. I love tarot. I mean, I'm like insane. So I don't get down about my business. I just love my business so much. I love my clients. So I don't get down about my business. I do have days sometimes where maybe if I deal with someone who's negative, where I might feel a little bit sad about that incident, but never about business. I never get disheartened. I am, and this is just my personality. I tend to just keep on keeping on. That's the way I'm wired. But if you are getting disheartened or feeling a sense that you're down about the way things are going, there's lots of things you can do to remotivate yourself. I say look for inspiration outside of your business. Mm-hmm. That can really help you get pumped up. Spend time with people who are really positive. Spend time with successful people, not as a way to like glom onto them, but I really believe that vibe does help to keep you inspired. Read things that are going to, get you maybe some new ideas about business. Those are things to do too. What about you, Ethony? What do you think about that? What do you do when you get unmotivated?
Yeah, unplug, take care of yourself, go see a movie that you love or read a book that you love, take yourself to dinner, go buy yourself something nice. Like don't like get into stupid amounts of debt, but just do some self-care. One thing that I can totally recommend is when I started transitioning online, I was seeing a lot of wildly successful people. And remember that people are showing you an aspect, and you may not know what's really going on behind the scenes. They may seem that they're very successful, but you don't always know. So, perspective is really important. But what I did was I unfollowed a lot of people on social media who I was having oh my gosh, I'm never going to be that good reaction to. Then to later, I've gone back and refollowed them, or I'm happy to like see their stuff again, because it can be a little bit hard when you have all these people projecting that they have this amazing successful business and you feel like you're never going to get there yourself. So I did myself the service of going, okay, well, I'm going to just for a little while, I don't need to see that. I'm just going to unplug from that and focus on my own shit.
Tiba says, sometimes I feel very negative. I don't want to open my cards. What should I do? Well, if you feel negative and you don't want to open your cards, then definitely leave them alone, because that's going to project onto your clients, and you do not want that. You do not want to be the bummer reader. If you have personal issues that are getting in the way of your work, then it's time to leave it alone for a while. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of negativity you're feeling. Like if you feel like you're just feeling down, then totally self-care is, I would say, the recommendation of the day. If you're feeling like you're worried that the cards are going to say something negative, or you're just like feeling a bit doomsy, then maybe that's your inner self saying that you need to do some work before you get back to slinging cards for other people. But that's what I'm just getting. I'm not sure if that's right or not. But so Diane said, her YouTube channel, I'm looking to start my private practice now after reading for an online service for 4 years and looking to build an online rather than local. Yep. So how is it, like, how to get started? So
she
that
said someone put a major lie about her to the local area. And I'm going to speak on that real quick, Diane. That happened to me very early in my business. There was a very, very jealous, quote unquote, rival. And I hate that word because, again, that doesn't go with my consciousness at all. And she ended up spreading a terrible rumor about me. And I'll never forget it. She was telling people, you know, that I was worshiping the devil or some garbage like that. I know. And anybody who knows me knows that that is certainly not me at all. Not that if that's your thing, I don't care.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
It's just not my thing. You know, so anyhow, long story short, it didn't hurt my business at all. There were a few people, of course, who were turned off and didn't come to me because they thought maybe I was, you know, a bad person or whatnot. But one of my friends, Chris Pierce, who's been long gone, he was a wonderful astrologer, said, don't worry about it. You know, people aren't going to listen to that. They're going to come and see, maybe be curious, and they'll come and see. And then if you just do a good job, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just got to focus on, just got to keep going, because your work will definitely show. When people go online, do they use your name? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There's not much you can, I guess, do about that. I'm very open about the fact that I use my given, like the name that I gave myself online, and I've talked about it many times. But that's because the community knows me as that. Like, it's not that I'm lying or anything. Everyone knows it's my Wiccan name. And yeah, I'm very upfront about it, but it's just that I identify, this is my identity that I've chosen for myself.
Uh-huh. Right. And I use my real name, but it's up to you. And for website names, you've got options there. Now, I'm a big believer that whatever website URL you choose, it should be something that's easy for people to type, you know, easy for them to remember. So, you know, mine is the Tarot Lady because Theresa Reed was already taken. I couldn't use my name. Somebody already has that domain name. So use your domain name, or you could do something like, I love Hillary Perry has Tarot by Hillary. I think that's really good. Something easy that people can remember.
Yeah, and I use ethony.com because it's easy to remember. Me. And that was my brand. Like, I had years and years and years and years and years and years of work with the local community in Australia. And everyone knew me as Ethony, so it'd be really silly to go away from that. And that's who I am. So I just chose that.
Right. Yeah. When I chose the Tarot Lady, the only reason why I chose it, it's not very original, was because people would always come and say, oh, I had to see my Tarot Lady. And so that's where that name stuck. And luckily I was able to get the tarotlady.com because there are other Tarot Ladies out there too, plenty of us. But I was lucky to get that name and to get the handle for all my social media channels. But that's what clients always said. I'm coming to see the Tarot Lady, you know, so not very original. There you go. It works.
So is there any other questions? Oh, sorry, I didn't click it over to you, Theresa. Is there any other questions while we're in our last couple of minutes here? Oh, thank you everyone for joining us. We had a nice turnout, and this will be up on both of our websites. Yeah, if you're enjoying the telephone readings, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Do whatever. Yeah. Do whatever. There's no right or wrong in this business in regards to like how you interact. If you're comfortable with that, then go for it. It's all about how you feel, right?
It's about how you work well. Mm-hmm. If you work well on the phone, by all means do the phone. If you like fairs, by all means do them. If you prefer email readings, do it. You know, just find the way that works for you, the way that you like to serve your clients. And the other thing I would like to add too, when you go into this business, really be clear on what your big why is. And, what is your big why? Why are you doing this work? Are you doing it because you want to serve people? Are you doing it because you're crazy about tarot and you just want to spread it all over? Are you doing it because you feel called to do it? Get clear on your why. Get clear on it. And then, really make sure that you check in with your why from time to time, because that's going to also to help you to stay motivated and also aligned with what you should be doing or how you should be working with your clients, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us. And I will have the replay up tomorrow on my YouTube channel and on ethony.com. And I'm sure the lovely Theresa will have it up as well on hers when I make it available. I hope you all have a fabulous day. I'm going to have to go shovel myself out. There is so much snow here. Oh my stars.
And we've got barely any at all. And I also want to say thank you guys for tuning in today live with us. This is really great. The questions were awesome. And Ethony, I want to thank you for doing this webinar. I love the excuse to hang out with you.
I know, right?
Yes.
Let's hang and talk tarot. Okay.
Oh my God. Yes, we can do this all day.
I know, I literally could. It's like, I'm like you, I'm obsessive.
Yes, when it comes to talking about tarot or business, or food, or hip hop, I could be talking all day. So thank you very much, Ethony. Thank you everybody for coming here. Mwah.
Thank you so much, Theresa, for being an amazing co-host, everyone. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to stop recording.